Okay, we are recording. So, hi, everybody, and welcome to the reading for Women in a Golden State. And it is published thanks due to Chryss Yost and Diana Raab, who are both here with us today. This is through Gunpowder Press in Santa Barbara, California. And thanks to everyone that made this happen. Thanks to the readers ahead of time. It's so exciting to meet people we haven't met before who are reading in the same anthology and those who we already know. And thanks to the audience for attending. Definitely recognize a lot of you as being cohort of writers that we know and friends and some like family, I understand. So thanks to everyone. And I want to share a little something, and then I want to check in with Chryss and Diana and hoping they'll just say a few words, but super happy that you're both here. So as the editors say in their preface, the year 2025 marks the 175th anniversary of California's statehood. So we decided to choose 175 contributors. This emerged as our focus. This is what Chryss and Diana are saying in their preface. The mythology and reality of being a woman of a certain age, especially in youth-obsessed California. Our selections include poet laureates side by side with writers who are just discovering their voices. Selected writing which to us felt like it captured a certain truth. California serves as a fitting backdrop for this anthology, a state known for its diversity, reinvention, and creativity. Just as the landscape ranges from rugged coastlines to serene deserts, so do these poems traverse the emotional terrain of aging women. Many of the writers in the collection were born elsewhere, bringing outside influences with them to add to the ongoing mixtape of California literary culture. So welcome, Diana and Chryss. Let's hear from you, even just briefly. We're so honored to have you with us today. Hi, Diana.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm so honored to be here, and I'm honored of all the people in this anthology. Thank you all for your enthusiasm and your amazing poetry. And I love the coming together of everyone for these readings. And thank you, Laurel, for organizing it. Very grateful. I know it's not easy doing these things, so we're very grateful. And it's really, I think after the pandemic, especially, we needed a sense of community, and this feels like real community, and it's beautiful. Beautiful. It's nice to see a man in the audience too. He's our poet laureate of Santa Barbara, so that's wonderful. So thanks for being here, George, and thank you everyone for your beautiful poems.
I would just second that. And it's been a really wonderful project. And I'm so grateful that so many individual people have just, taken this project and just run with it and brought out Zoom readings and readings in their community. There's a whole list of upcoming readings on the Gunpowder Press website, just /wigs for women in a Golden State. And there's things coming up all over Northern Southern California. So thanks,
Yeah,
everybody.
thanks, Chryss. And Diana, I noticed that you're hosting a few readings yourself. Is that right, in person?
I'm doing most of the in-person readings. Yes, we have one coming up September 6th at Tecolote here near Santa Barbara. And we're going to have a few also later on in the LA area. I'm working with Beyond Baroque. They're very interested. They have some new administration there, so it might not be till the new year. But yes, a number of readings coming up. And a lot of, there's been some interest in the nursing homes. And so we're going to have one reading here in Santa Barbara and possibly some more. So if any of you feel like organizing anything in nursing homes, I think there's great enthusiasm there, speaking with the event coordinators.
Thank you both. And I also understand there'll be some readings coming up in the Bay Area. I heard from Lucy Day the other day. So that'll be forthcoming. And there should be probably 3 different venues right around here. So I'm looking forward to attending some of those.
Me
Thank
too. And travel a little bit.
you.
Be
I
fun.
hope so. I hope to see you both in
Yeah.
person. It would be a delight for all of us.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. So as far as the audience is concerned, feel free to comment in the chat to any of the poems that you think this is a stunning line, or this was really cool, or whatever, or just sit back and enjoy. Or if you were like me with the last 2 readings, I was following along because this is all going to be in alphabetical order by author. So it's actually easy to follow along with the anthology if you have the anthology. If not, you can find it on the Gunpowder Press website. Hint, hint. We will have a short Q&A after, between 5 and 10 minutes. So if you have a burning question, audience, feel free to put that in the Q&A. Or if you're one of the readers and you would like to put something in the Q&A, go ahead as well. So I will not be reading the bios. We have a lot of people here today. Just suffice it to say that there is so much information about each of you that holds you in high regard. And there's that part, which is why I wanted to read the preface about how some people are poet laureate, some people are maybe in the earlier part of their career, even if they're over 60. And I thought that was such a fitting thing to put in there. So we'll let the writing speak for itself today. So I'm going to start right off by calling, and I'm going to call each of you, and then you'll read. And before you read your poem, would you tell us where you hailed from originally, where you came from, unless you were originally from California, and what part of the state you live in? And if there's one more thing briefly you want to share, like any honors or a book published, feel free to go ahead. Just keep it brief. So we'll start with Lisa Alvarez. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Lisa Alvarez, fated by alphabetical order to be the first reader today. I'm a native Californian. I grew up in and around the beautiful city of Los Angeles, and I'm the granddaughter of undocumented immigrants and the daughter of a birthright citizen. And for the last 33 years, I've lived in what is left of the wild spaces of Orange County. I'll be reading today my micro essay, if you're following along in the book. Page 1. Farther along. Farther along, we'll know all about it. Yes, we'll understand it all by and by. When I visit my family's cabin in the San Bernardino Mountains, I hike down the Santa Ana River along the scoured and ragged shoreline emerging months after Tropical Storm Hilary, looking for old landmarks. Gone are the sandy banks, the oak shade spots with carpets of acorn. Where is the rock where I laid the sleeping baby down? The deep swimming hole where I swam with friends? The tree with the tire swing that someone, not me, mended yearly? At its peak, the late summer storm widened the river to 7 times its width. The raging water took down mature cedars, pines, and oaks, stripping them of branches and bark, leaving them tumbled and tangled in vast stacks. I won't live long enough to see trees return to the river's once heavily forested banks. Some felled trees and boulders wear clothing and bedding, rocks wrapped with curtains, towels, and rugs. The raging water took homes along with the trees. Sunk deep in the dirt and branches is the stuff that makes up lives: pillows, shoes, utensils, appliances, furniture. People say those who stayed behind took refuge in the trees that August night, watching their homes vanish. All but one survived. That missing woman, not much older than me, living alone in a mobile home, swept away, haunts me. She stayed, some say, because she had nowhere else to go or no way to get there. There's always a point, thinking of her, where she used to be, where she is now, that keeps me from walking even farther. That was last year. This year, a fire came and burned for almost a month. Some of the very trees that survived the flood stand as ashy skeletons now. The river is edged with soot. No one has yet found her. Thank you. That's for Christy Rockwood.
Thank you, Lisa. And up next is Laurel Benjamin. And I am a native to California. I'm a native to the San Francisco Bay Area and happy to be so. My parents were from New York, my grandparents from a land with Jews that don't exist anymore in the old world. So happy to land here. And this is very much a California poem. It's called To the White Pine, Mono Lake. We met after a week's camping in Nevada, stars folding uninterrupted, days draining the canteen of Tang, where my brother and I re-challenged backgammon, laughed at the fat marmots. It's winter now, the barren time of year, even here in the Bay Area. Do you tire of chattering insects, refolding and washing dry wings? Or low songs from nearby hills, as immobile as you? No trees neighbor your roots to warn each other of danger. It was summer when I'd graduated high school, my period nonstop, body bloated with unfamiliar, nothing I could share with friends. And you alone understood, said, once I was more than one. My father unfolded his camera bag, begged for a good snap. My mother's notebook brain recording all. We'd been told the folds on this pine are remarkable. When clouds arrived, shadows turned the curls on your branch tips into birds. Lightning struck the hills, sparked, smoldered. We stood still as if our own trunks could be protected by entropy. Then a flash split you, split my body down the middle. The fire, a pink mouth spreading ashes. Thank you. Next up is Mary Camarillo. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Mary Camarillo. I am from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I live in Huntington Beach in Southern California. Thank you so much, Gunpowder Press, for including me in this Wigs and anthology. I really like that term, Wigs. Happy to be one, and thank you to Laurel for putting the reading together. This is my essay, Flip Flop, which is on page 30 if you're following along. When my family moved to California in 1965, so many things seemed alien to me. Hard-shell tacos dripping with hamburger grease, earthquakes, beach-tarred feet, calling people you guys instead of y'all, the usually invisible mountains and offshore islands that magically reappeared in the Santa Ana winds, and smoggy sunsets, the color of fire. All of these things, except for the earthquakes, quickly became part of my everyday life. My parents, however, always found California strange and never lost their South Carolina accents. Although my mother finally learned to let avocados ripen before serving, my father insisted on eating tacos with a fork and never owned a pair of flip-flops. Toward the end of their very long lives, I attempted to become their caregiver. They were fiercely independent, and I am a childless Catwoman. So caregiving was an alien role at first. I adapted. I grocery shopped, paid bills, scheduled appointments, chauffeured, advocated, and pestered them about following their doctor's advice. I practiced patience with collapsible wheelchairs, snide remarks, incontinence, flat out lies, and stinginess. And I savored the unexpected declarations of love and occasional overwhelming generosity. They drove me crazy most of the time, and now I miss them like crazy. These days, an increasing number of things feel alien to me. I'm an orphan at 73. My arthritis and my shortcomings keep me awake at night. Like my parents, I'm fiercely independent, but occasionally I'm unexpectedly lonely. I'm bewildered by most of my Huntington Beach neighbors who disrespect librarians, educators, the truth, and other opinions. And yet, on the days that Catalina Island and Saddleback Mountain magically reappear in the distance, and the evenings when the sunset streaks the sky with fire, I can still count my blessings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Susan Cohen, let's hear from you.
Thank you, Laurel and Gunpowder Press. I've been a Californian since I was 14, and I live in Berkeley, but we spend a lot of time on the Sonoma coast, and that's where this poem originated. Adam and Eve near retirement. He zigzags through scree and boulders just above the tide. She picks her path, stiff-kneed behind him, afraid a stumble against the rocks could snap a rib. They reach dry beach, a driftwood log, and sit to watch the waves. How sunlight twitches on the water, backflip, pageant, and elixir. They're alone. The afternoon is Eden. That's when he offers her the apple, both knowing almost all they'll ever know. They bite in turn, hungry, though the flesh is bruised and mealy, a moist sweetness lingers. Each lets the other take the equal share. Then they hike the canyon to their car, wordless, too busy breathing, that sly hint of apple still carnal in their mouths.
Mm. Thank you, Susan. Let's move next to Carol Dorff.
Hi, everybody. Very pleased to be part of this anthology, and I thank Diana and Chryss for putting it together, and Laurel for putting the reading together. It's quite fun to be reading with people I don't know and people I do know. I've lived in the Bay Area for about a little more than 40 years, and I've lived in Berkeley for almost 30 years. This poem takes place, however, in San Francisco. It's a prose poem. It's sort of an intermediate form. Brake lights. Last night, I drove home from a reading at Specs with 2 poets, 1 musician, and a busman. Aside from the busman, who was my husband, everyone had other jobs, which was most of what we talked about, especially since our foray to the edge of politics got testy. My fault. Do I get to explain the extenuating circumstances? At the reading, a German woman played the accordion while wearing a white paper mask that might have been representing a birch tree, though in an American context, it could have represented something a lot worse. At the end, she distributed butterflies from a paper bag, so I'll assume she was a tree. The back seat was a little too small, and it took a long time for everyone to get buckled in. The wet road was slick, and on the lower level of the bridge, I needed to give up on my plan to keep the windows open a bit. It will take a few days to know if any of us was toxic to the rest. In the dream that night, I was driving, swerving, and leaning into the swerve the way you do on a bike. There was a blue sports car in front of us, and I wasn't sure about my brakes. I couldn't quite reach them, though I don't think they were broken. Then we pulled over into another city entirely, maybe Sacramento. I was walking and realized my husband wasn't there anymore. I called his name and was lost. I kept going, and the streets grew darker and darker. I didn't have my phone to use as a light. Then I realized I had made a terrible mistake and turned back the way I came. When I got out of bed, I tried to make sure he was still breathing without waking him, but he did wake up.
Thank you, Carol. Let's move on to Joyce Kiefer. Welcome.
Okay. I'm a native Californian, and I grew up in San Mateo, which is on the San Francisco Peninsula, and I now live in Sunnyvale, which is in Silicon Valley. So I really haven't moved around very much, but I've lived long enough to have some memories of World War II, and I wrote this poem called "Looking," because I think it's something that we all need to do at whatever age we are. And you'll see what this essay is about, what we're looking at. Okay, looking. The war had been going on since just before Christmas. It's February now. I'm 4 years old, sitting between my parents as we make our Sunday trip to San Francisco to visit friends. We drive from San Mateo along El Camino Real. In San Bruno, we approach the Tanforan racetrack. Suddenly, Dad orders me, "Don't look." Mom pushes my head into her lap. As I duck, I steal a peek at Tanforan. Families stare back at me from behind a chain-link fence. They're dressed in Sunday clothes like me, but they have suitcases like they're going on vacation. I ask what they're doing. Are they waiting for a Greyhound bus? They're Japanese, he tells me. Most of them okay, but some might do what their emperor tells them. And we're at war with their emperor. They have to go away where they can't do any harm. He tries not to sound scared like the time I almost fell in the fish pond, but I hear his voice shake. We shouldn't talk about it. He speeds up. Mom says, "I'm sorry you have to grow up in wartime." Years later, I learned that most of those families were interred at Topaz, Utah, in the Mars-like desert of the Great Basin. Now my own family stops for lunch in the nearby town of Delta, Utah, on the way to visit grandparents in Colorado. Oblivious. In 2019, my son's family, including teenage daughter Emily, make the same trip and take me along. We slow down in Delta, and I notice a large new building along the highway. The sign says Topaz Museum. I insist we stop so Emily can go in. I tell her what I saw as a 4-year-old. I want Emily to look and to see. Okay, so thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Joyce. Good to meet you. You're local to me.
Oh, good.
And let's hear from Blair Kilpatrick next.
Hi, thank you. I'm really honored to be here. This is the first time I've read my poetry aloud since high school, and high school is when I stopped writing poetry. So I grew up in the Midwest in Chicago and Cleveland. My family moved here to the Bay Area. We live in Berkeley. And I guess the only other thing I should say about myself is that I actually do play an accordion and thought about bringing it as a prop to calm myself. But anyway, this is called "Are We Aging Out of This Scene?" I remember the old days back in Chicago. Our musician friend, who played 200 gigs a year with her family band, got a reminder from her husband. "Honey, I don't see myself performing at 70. My fiddler husband and I laughed at the absurdity. Who could imagine taking the stage at such an ancient age? But when that distant time arrived for the two of us, the question had to be faced. Are we aging out of this scene? Fiddlesticks, what nonsense. Our audience can expand or contract as easily as my accordion. Who needs a stage or crowded clubs? We still have farmers markets, retirement communities, even nursing homes. And then maybe we move to Toronto, closer to our married son and daughter-in-law, play for a grandkid or two if we get lucky. And at night we might shuffle down to the corner pub, sip lime and tonic, hold the gin, offer up some hot Cajun tunes in exchange for dinner and tips. Or perhaps we find one of those havens for lively but serene elders, like that new Zen place here in California. Whatever comes, our music will sustain us. We will keep playing as long as we can for ourselves, for our aging fellow travelers, and for the younger ones who watch and listen with indulgent smiles, never guessing their moment will come sooner than they think. Thank you.
Thank you, Blair. Let's go next to Rana Meiji.
Hi, everyone. I'm originally from Detroit, went to grad school at Berkeley, and now live in Los Angeles, and granddaughter of immigrants. This poem was written about Southgate, Huntington Park, and other industrial areas where I taught English to immigrants and refugees for many years. And thanks to Laurel, Julia, Diana, and Chryss for making this happen. Unmasked. Surely these lands were once browned grasses, meandering California oak, branches twisting up mottled blue. Fire orange poppies, milkweed, and monarchs meandered these hills. Gabrielino Tongva journeyed these coasts, lived on acorns and berries born of flatlands and grounds. Now, electric transformers hover treeless abodes, while scrap junkyards, acid batteries, rotted engines metal these scrawling hills. Now, soured blood, rotting carcasses, chromium, scorch acres of ground. Now, blindered hordes barely question what's taken place or what looms ahead. Surely lavender and salvia will dry on their stalks. Surely summer's oaks will brown again into fall. Slaughterhouse animals, sheep, proceed staring down at the rails. Shuffling concrete sidewalks, they head into the pain.
Thank you, Rana.
Thank you.
Let's move on to Kathleen McClung. Are you here, Kathleen?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so
Hi.
much. Hi to everybody, and especially to you, Laurel. Thank you for organizing our reading, and thank you to Diana and Chryss for this beautiful anthology. I'm so honored to be part of it. I'm a native of California and have lived in San Francisco for 35 years in the same apartment. And I've taught at Skyline College for 30 years. And my poem is set at my community college shortly after we returned to campus when it was safe to do so near the end of the COVID pandemic. This is called Knowledge and Praxis, a late pandemic abecedarian. Cosmetology department flyer on a bulletin board near the faculty lounge catches my eye, punctures my inertia. Damn this dull gray, damn COVID. Except for Tom, nobody's touched my face, my hair, for 2 years. Give me your finest chemicals. Don't hesitate. Keep foiling each strand. Even if your professor steps in, takes charge, just as you turn to my bangs. Knowledge and praxis coalesce with time. Let me sit silent under the black cape. My quiet's no critique of you, dear novice. No, I'm soaking it all in. Old teacher in a fluorescent temple. Paradise, really, after so long a quarantine. Music of blow dryers, voices rising, someone's Beyonce ringtone, clink of scissors, murmur of combs, harmonics teaching us in this mirrored room how to unite, how to encircle, beautify each other versus splintering into posses, aiming words, weapons, memes. By the sink, I exhale, inhale. Do I smell lavender shampoo? Yes, yes. It lingers long after I zip my wallet, drive home, almost blonde. Thank you.
Thank you. Robbie Nestor, you're next. Welcome.
Hi, I was born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the child of a birthright
You're
citizen.
still muted,
And
Robbie.
no, I'm not. I'm not muted.
Go ahead, Robbie.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the child of birthright citizen and a naturalized citizen, child of immigrants, grandchild of immigrants. I came to California in 1980 to go to graduate school, and they couldn't get rid of me. I stayed for, after the MFA, I stayed for a PhD, and I'm still here. My poem's called California. It has an epigraph from Allen Ginsberg's, his poem, America. Are you being sinister, or is this some form of practical joke? I came all the way out here, and now you're burning. Flypaper freeways twist and curl, vibrating with trucks and cars creeping down the off-ramp like mourners at a funeral. You uprooted all the native species, replaced them with these blighted palm trees, knobby-kneed brown hills heaving with quakes. You used to be so beautiful. Now everything's a housing tract. Eucalyptus and lemon grows, chopped down long ago to build condos in pre-approved shades of gray or blue. No more life in the tide pools. California, the tents of the homeless line every street, soon to be purged from the pavement like roaches. Once you were a bride, draped with garlands of almond blossom, orange blossoms, bouquets of white egrets. How long will the redwoods send out new shoots? The ocean and the open sky air their lacy lingerie. Tell me, where is there to go now that we have used up this whole earth? Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you, Robbie. Hi, Gail. Let's hear from you.
Oh. Thanks, Laurel, for organizing the reading, and thanks to Diana and Chryss for this fabulous anthology. I'm happy to be included. I was born in Landsberg, Germany, in a displaced persons camp. And I emigrated to Los Angeles with my parents, where I grew up. And then I immigrated alone to San Francisco, where I grew up further. Now I spend my time between San Francisco and Sebastopol, which is in Sonoma. So I am a country and a city girl. And here's my poem. A floor above the kitchen. I came to old age, which is a floor above the kitchen, where someone is boiling water for tea. I came to another season of war, bloodshed all over the news. I came to my heart, still beating, heavy with years. Deer came to the garden, heads bent to the flowers. Bees circled my head. The fox, red tail flashing like a flag, a warning. I came to a time without thinking, the past receding like a landscape outside the window of a train. Thank you. I saw a fox today run across the road, so I knew it was my lucky day.
Thank you, Gail. And Jan Steckel, you're on next.
Oh, thank you, Laurel. Thank you for making the reading happen. Julia, thank you for helping run the reading. And Chryss and Diana, thank you for the very beautiful anthology. I'm a third generation Californian, although I was born in Boston when my parents were both in school there. I grew up in Pacific Palisades and Santa Monica, and I live now on Ohlone land in Oakland. The wildland-urban interface. Fire season starts earlier, lasts later. Capybaras move north. Underbrush is tinder. Santa Ana wind whips the blaze. As the sparks fly upward, we are born to wildfire and earthquake. Hemlock and fennel grow taller than men. Eucalyptus chokes the oaks out. Pine cones litter the ground like grenades. Quail strut. Deer freeze. Pileated woodpeckers knock hollowly. One night we'll be too old to move fast enough. Rescuers will find nothing but ash and bone.
Thank you, Jan. And welcome, Lynn Thompson.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. This is wonderful to be with you all, and special thanks to Chryss and Diana and Laurel for all your hard work in bringing this reading to fruition. My poem is, I live in I forgot to say, I am a native Angelino and the child of West Indian immigrants. I live in California. I prefer to say I live in Mexico, that I live on stolen land, although some say that is just a spoil of war. I like to say names of places like Bolsa, due to the way it couples. Bolsa Chica, Bolsa Knolls, pretty sounding places, muy bonita, whatever language you speak. I like saying Cucamonga, probably because saying so is a child's game. Cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. And should California's teachers be forgiven if they don't teach the history of the Gabrielino or the names those indigenes gave to their places? I can think of no reason to say Downey, named after the state's 7th governor, born in Ireland, seduced by riches, thanks be to the California gold rush, a backer of slavery in the Kansas Territory, fan of San Francisco's capitalists. I'd rather say Fresno, meaning ash tree in Spanish. I'd rather say Huzimbin Mountain, thinking of the Winty's buzzard water. I'd rather ponder the myth about the place in Humboldt called Loleta, of which some local Wyots, those yet to be killed off, grin and say, let's have sex, but somehow words can corrupt in translation.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
And let's move on to Corinne Topol. Hi.
All right. Hello. Thank you. And as everyone had said, what a beautiful anthology. Thank you, Chryss, and thank you, Diana. It's really wonderful, especially when I see people now and I can put their faces to their poems. And thank you, Laurel, for organizing this. I'm a first-generation American. My parents are from the Russian Pale, and I'm a New Yorker. born and bred and educated, mostly educated. And I've been living in California for longer than I have lived in New York, but I'm still a New Yorker, very much so. So when I first moved out, I lived all over Southern California. And then 14 years ago, my boyfriend asked me to marry him, and we moved to the desert where I had never been. And I was mesmerized by what looked dead all the time was quite alive. I mean, I'm a real city girl, so for me, it was quite a homecoming or a strange one. So this poem is on page 158, and it's called Memento Vivere. Beneath my feet, nothing sleeps. Tree bones brittled, upended shrubs spun to tumbleweed. Old lakes and ancient beaches wrinkled with valleys where only salt remains. The many mountains flank with faults, push upward only to bear the brunt of wind. Smoke trees with their twig crowns of gray, all that is baked here, and whatever grows for months without a drop of rain. How is it from all this near death and dying, there's a glimmer of green leafing out after the smallest rain? The cactus shaded by its needles. This stillness so old, so used to itself. How it carries on while I sense the fragments of my own wintering landscape. My like cold bone branches, precious dust at my back. Before me caves, silver needled trees standing guard where once there'd been a door. Thank you so much. I hope I didn't freeze out there.
It was perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. And I see Eileen has made it in. Eileen Malone, would you like to read? Just unmute yourself when you're ready, okay? If not, I'll put you in at the end of the line. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to just continue with, in that case, with Tara Trevor. Let's hear from you next.
Hi, I'm Tara Trevor. I'm honored, deeply honored to be included in this anthology. I grew up in a Tongva territory in Southern California, Compton, Paramount. And when I was 25, I moved to Santa Barbara. And I lived in Santa Barbara until I was 68. 4 years ago, when I was 68, during the pandemic, I moved to Santa Cruz, where I am now. My prose poem is American Indian Elderhood in California. My dad died last year. Walked on is our word for death in my native culture. Auntie, Dad's younger sister, is our elder now, 86. I'm 72, second elder. We are American Indians, mixed blood, Cherokee, Lenape, Seneca. I'm California born and raised. I don't have pictures of my dad's side of the family. The film was overexposed the day we lined up according to our generation. In the first photograph, the great aunties and uncles are grouped together. These are my grandpa's siblings, born in Indian Territory in Oklahoma. The line doesn't hold a white face. The next group is my dad, auntie, and all of their cousins, the first half-blood generation in our family. My brother, sister, and I stand with the largest group of cousins. We are not full-bloods or even half, and yet we're not white and never will be. We stand blinking in the sunlight in our youth, and I remember thinking someday we would become the elders. Today, I'm doing my best to make better for the next 7 generations, writing, volunteering at the community center, reading books to children by Native American authors, working to make sure Native lives and histories are portrayed with honesty and integrity, providing stepping stones for the kids so they can see Native people have respect for our traditional ways, and that we are also real people working as doctors, teachers, writers, and authors. Showing the children that Native American mothers and fathers are regular moms and dads who cook dinner, help their kids with their homework, play baseball, and that we are not relics from the past, making a statement that American Indian people are still here with our celebration of life, past, present, and future.
Thank you, Tara. And I'm going to try again to see if Eileen Malone will unmute herself and read. I know she joined the meeting.
I'm here.
Okay, great. Go right ahead. Hi,
Am I
Eileen.
on? Okay. And I live at the edge of San Francisco where it meets the peninsula. So I'm sort of the bedroom of the city. Remembering the word. Now that I've accumulated some of those unthinkable birthdays, I carry the unsayable with me. The words I can't remember that do not leave to return, but leave to leave. I can only make shapes of my thoughts into substitutes, replacements, use phrases that are almost but not quite what I mean. Sometimes the word I seek to speak escapes the tip of my tongue, having set off to store itself as a cryptic message, a seed in a cistern buried underground in the secret keep of the third abyss of purgatory. I've always pulled forth words for what cannot be said, always knew there were words for everything, but now discover they might not be in any language I know anymore. In this time of my life, it seems every word I pick to hurl through on the tips of darts with the speed of light. It seems they're the wrong ones. Pebble, clear bubbles, the unselfing of self, the demonic disease, dangerous, exhaustible with desire, the unsayable said. I'm interested in the power of the unsaid, the gory details and fiery language, of the unspoken and what happens if the expected words never, ever strike.
Thank you, Eileen.
Thank you.
And let's go now to Georgette Eunice. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for including me in this anthology. I actually have never met any of you until these Zoom events began to take place, and I'm absolutely delighted. I was born in Arizona and moved to Claremont down south in Southern Cal in the 70s, where I lived for about 45 years. I currently now live in Auburn in Northern California. I moved here during COVID to help with my daughter's children. I have two wonderful grandsons who are now almost twice my height since I moved here. When I first came to California, I fell in love with the Sierras. We used to drive through the Mojave to Mammoth Lakes, and now we drive the other way around Lake Tahoe to Mammoth. And this is a poem that I have written about many, many experiences that I've had there. It's called A Sierra Memoir. I enter Lake Basin Trail, breathless at 8,000 feet, eager for the company of lodgepoles, jeffreys, and firs, melodies of hermit thrush as they call to each other in late afternoon, the roar of waterfalls cascading to twin lakes, my face damp from spray. I imagine myself an eagle, fly down the rocks with the view of another forest and range. Several people gather when the angled sun graces each particle of water. Pine needles crunch under feet as I join others, settle on granite, patient to savor the evening. Mercury shifts the following day to cold wind, angry, fierce. Tall spruce sway like cathedral pillars in an earthquake. I tremble at the rush through dense branches, hammering windows. Intermittent calm deludes us. This rage exhausts itself. But clouds stretch sideways, tipped in white, rise dark and heavy. Water drives everywhere. The mountain image dissolves into one of tainted gesso. In a few hours, clouds disperse. Light glitters every cone and stream. I return to the trail.
Thank you, Georgette. So good to hear you and see you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, everyone. Let's just take a few minutes. And I wanted to hear, this is something that one of the other readings used, sort of this conversational prompt about share your experience of writing as an older woman. Is there anyone that wants to talk about that? And maybe it's something to do with now I'm older and now this is my first book, or now I've been writing for a long time and this is something that's shifted with an older age. Who'd like to talk about that? Maybe Lynn, would you like to share about that? Lynn Thompson?
Uh,
I
um,
know my throat is choking too.
I was thinking as you asked the question, how suddenly being an older writer snuck up on me. I have been doing it for a while. I guess, though, I would say that I am more willing to say things that I might not have said 10, 15 years ago. And now I'm thinking, what the hell, you know? I mean, I used to say, are they going to put me in prison? And given the times we're living in, they may, but I continue to do what I love. Age be damned, so I guess that's how I feel about it.
Thank you so much. Who'd like to follow on that one? Appreciate that, Lynn.
Sure.
Yes.
I'm fascinated how much I really I keep writing about death, the deaths of people that have been close to me, work that I've done now they're calling them death doulas, but I was and volunteered with Compassionate Choices. And I think nobody wants to read about death, all these details, all this bodily stuff. And yet it feels really important to me to say, I want to write this. This is what's going on. This is what matters. All these age-related transitions. And yet I watch that mix of hesitation and passion. So I think that's part of living in an ageist society. But I look at the 20-year-old writers and say, good for you. And I want to write about what's going on with me now.
Yeah. Susan Cohen, do you want to respond about being an older writer and so forth? You're laughing already. What do you have to say?
Well, I'm just sitting here thinking, I never know whether to call myself an old young poet or a young old poet, because I came back to poetry so late after a different kind of writing career. And there's disadvantages to that in terms of just getting your work out there, I think. But there's so many advantages to that in terms of a life lived. And I think we have so much to write about, and I think poetry is a wonderful thing to take you through old age. I used to joke uh, uh, to friends that who write much more experimentally than I do, that maybe they'll like my poetry more the older I get, because as it becomes, more free associative and maybe a little less structured, and I think there's an audience for that. So I just should say I had my first book of poems was published when I was 65, so there's always hope.
Thank you, Susan. Lisa Alvarez, would you like to join the conversation?
Well, I just want to say, I'm so happy to be with you all, and I used the call for this anthology as a kind of a prompt to write something for the anthology, and I really appreciated seeing it out there, sort of collecting, in particular, the viewpoints of folks like us. And I want to thank the editors and you, Laurel, for making this reading happen. I've been attending the other readings, and I've been inspired by what is shared to go back to the work I'm currently working on. And your comment, Susan, at the end about when your first book came out. I'm now a debut author at age 64, and it's been a great week, a great couple weeks celebrating that. And this anthology has been a part of my sort of celebration summer. But we certainly have a lot to say, and strong voices to say it with. And as I tell my students, I'm one of many teachers, I presume, in the room, a community college professor, and I think a couple of my former students are in the audience. I always tell them how lucky I am to still be writing now, because I am a better writer than I was, and I'm fortunate to still be at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. And I know we could have so much an ongoing conversation about this, but I think I'm going to close the reading out. I also want to give a big hand to Julia Ross, my co-host and tech person. Thank you so much, Julia. We know each other from an Ekphrastic Writers group, and she's a dear friend. And she has a micro chapbook out through which press is it, Julia? Remind us.
Thanks so much. Ghost City Press. It's part of their summer digital chapbook series.
Yeah, and you're starting early. I just got my first book published. So thank you for starting early, and I look forward to more books from you. And I appreciate you. So thanks, Chryss and Diana. And thank you so much, everyone. I feel like now we all have a connection, and I'm hoping that in some way we'll see each other or cross paths, whether it's in person or online, and let's try to make that happen. Okay, so unmute yourselves and let's have some applause here.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Thank you.
Yay!
Wow.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Very good.
everyone.
Thank you.
Book is really great.
Good to meet all of you.
Thank you
And
for everything.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Woohoo!
thank you. Bye, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.